The Galactic Council chamber buzzed with anxious whispers. Representatives of dozens of species from across the galaxy had gathered, their vibrant forms flickering under the dim lights. At the center of the room, a massive holographic image of Earth slowly rotated, its swirling blue and green surface gleaming with an almost serene beauty. "Order. We must come to order," commanded the Council's presiding officer, a towering Skthari with scales that shimmered like molten silver. The room fell silent as she continued. "We are here to discuss Earth, designated Death World, 023. Its inhabitants, the humans, have been a topic of concern for many cycles now. Despite their technological advancement, they stubbornly remain on their volatile planet. Why do they choose to live there?" Captain Xyler of the Thlixians, a species renowned for their peaceful nature and high intelligence, listened intently. His species had avoided Earth due to its reputation, a world with dangerous wildlife, unpredictable weather, and a gravitational pull that would crush most beings. Earth was categorized as a death world by the Galactic Council, a planet considered extremely hostile to life. "We propose a research expedition to understand these humans better," Xyler suggested, stepping forward. "We must learn why they remain on such a dangerous planet when many more hospitable worlds are available to them." The Council murmured in agreement. Xyler's proposal was approved, and he was tasked with leading the mission to Earth, accompanied by Science Officer Lim and Engineer Vecton. They would be the first Thlixians to set foot on a death world. As their ship, the intrepid Voyager, descended through Earth's atmosphere, the crew braced themselves. Turbulence rocked the vessel violently, and outside, they could see dense clouds swirling with lightning. Vecton monitored their descent nervously, his eyes wide. "This storm is incredible. We haven't even landed, and Earth is already trying to kill us." "Stay focused," Xyler ordered, his voice steady despite his own apprehension. "Remember why we're here, to understand." The ship finally landed in a forest clearing, the trees around them bending and swaying under the force of the storm. Rain lashed against their hull, and the wind howled. Xyler and his crew donned their protective suits, stepping cautiously into the storm. Almost immediately, they were beset by Earth's infamous challenges. A massive tree branch, loosened by the storm, crashed to the ground mere feet away. Moments later, a pack of wolves, eyes glinting in the dark, circled them, snarling. The Thlixians activated their protective barriers, using energy shields to fend off the wolves. "Why do humans live here?" Lim muttered, dodging a snapping jaw. "This place is madness." Just as the wolves seemed ready to attack again, a loud noise echoed through the forest, a sharp, piercing whistle. The wolves hesitated, then slunk back into the shadows. A group of humans emerged from the trees, wearing rugged clothing and carrying strange tools. They seemed completely unfazed by the storm or the wild animals. "Looks like you folks could use some help," one of the humans said with a grin. "Welcome to Earth. You're lucky this is just a small storm." Xyler stared at the humans in disbelief. "You call this small?" The human chuckled. "Yeah, this is nothing. You should see a real storm." The Thlixians exchanged glances, bewildered. It was clear that understanding these humans would be far more complex than they had imagined. Earth was a death world, but to the humans, it was simply home. Inside the warmth of the ranger station, the storm outside seemed less threatening, though its constant roar was a reminder of Earth's unpredictable nature. The Thlixians sat around a wooden table, still trying to comprehend the humans' nonchalance about their environment. Captain Xyler observed the humans carefully, noting their relaxed demeanor. Despite their soaked clothes and mud-splattered boots, they chatted cheerfully, as if they had just come in from a casual walk, not a dangerous storm. One of the rangers, a middle-aged woman with sharp eyes and an easy smile, introduced herself as Sarah. She noticed the confusion on the Thlixians' faces. "You look like you've got a lot of questions," she said, pouring hot coffee into mugs and passing them around. "Go ahead, ask away. We're used to it." Captain Xyler hesitated for a moment before speaking. "Why do you choose to live here, on this death world? Your planet is fraught with dangers, violent weather, hostile wildlife, natural disasters. Surely there are safer places to inhabit. Sarah chuckled softly, shaking her head. Death world, huh? I guess that's one way to look at it. But Earth is our home. We've lived here for thousands of years. It's in our blood. Sure, it's dangerous sometimes, but that's what makes it exciting. It keeps us on our toes. Science Officer Lim leaned forward, her curiosity piqued. Exciting? But surely the risk outweighs the rewards. Your technology could easily enable you to live on a more hospitable planet. Why endure this? Sarah sipped her coffee, considering her response. It's not about just enduring. It's about thriving, about overcoming challenges. Every storm, every wildfire, every earthquake, those are things that test us, push us to be better, to innovate, to come together as a community. They make us stronger. The Thlixians were quiet, absorbing her words. Outside, the wind howled louder, and the lights flickered. The humans barely seemed to notice, continuing their conversation as if nothing was amiss. We're not just surviving here, Sarah continued. We're living. There's a big difference. Earth might be harsh, but it's also beautiful and full of life. We've learned to adapt to its challenges, and in doing so, we've found ways to flourish. Engineer Vecton, who had been silently observing, finally spoke up. But isn't it exhausting? To constantly battle against the elements, to face danger at every turn. Sarah smiled. Sure, it can be tough. But the tough times make the good times even sweeter. And we're not alone. We have each other. We build communities, we support one another, and we find joy even in adversity. That's what makes us human. The Thlixians were beginning to see that there was more to humanity than they had initially understood. They had expected fear and desperation, but instead found resilience and a fierce love for their world. Later, the Thlixians were taken on a tour of the nearby town. They saw farmers working tirelessly in their fields despite the rain, children laughing as they played in the mud, and construction workers building stronger homes to withstand future storms. Everywhere they looked, they saw people adapting, overcoming, and thriving. Captain Zyler watched in awe. I'm beginning to understand, he admitted to Lim. For humans, Earth isn't just a home, it's a proving ground. Every challenge is an opportunity to grow stronger, to bond with one another. Lim nodded, her analytical mind racing to comprehend this new perspective. They are not just enduring Earth's harsh conditions, they are defining themselves through them. It's a unique form of resilience, unlike anything we've seen in the galaxy. As the storm finally began to die down, the Thlixians found themselves with a newfound respect for the humans and their death world. What they once saw as madness now seemed like an extraordinary testament to the strength of the human spirit. The morning sun broke through the storm clouds, casting a warm glow over the soaked landscape. Earth had transformed overnight from a place of chaos to one of serene beauty. The Thlixians, now more acclimated to the strange and vibrant world around them, were invited to witness an event the humans called the Great Challenge. This should be interesting, Captain Zyler remarked as they followed Sarah and the other rangers to a large clearing in the forest. Humans from nearby towns and villages were setting up makeshift barriers, climbing ropes, and various obstacles. Children ran around excitedly, while adults gathered in groups, discussing strategies and preparations. Sarah turned to the Thlixians with a grin. The Great Challenge is a tradition around here. It's a series of events designed to test our endurance, skills, and teamwork. It started as a way to prepare for the planet's challenges, but now it's a celebration of our spirit and resilience. Lim looked puzzled. You voluntarily engage in more danger? Isn't your everyday life already filled with enough challenges? Sarah laughed. It's not about courting danger. It's about pushing ourselves beyond our limits and coming together as a community. When you live on a world like this, you learn that strength comes not just from the individual, but from working together, supporting each other. The Thlixians watched in amazement as the event began. The first challenge involved navigating a course of rugged terrain, including climbing steep hills and crossing a fast-flowing river. Men and women of all ages participated, moving with determination and a sense of purpose. Even children had their own smaller version of the course, laughing as they tumbled and ran. One of the participants, a young man named David, slipped while trying to cross the river. The current was strong, threatening to sweep him away. Before the Thlixians could react, another competitor, a woman named Maria, reached out and grabbed his arm, pulling him to safety. They both laughed, and she patted him on the back before they continued, side by side. Xyler observed this, with keen interest. Even in competition, they prioritize helping each other. There's a balance between individual effort and collective support. Engineer Vectin, who had been skeptical, nodded slowly. It's remarkable. Their concept of challenge isn't about winning or losing, it's about growth and unity. The second event was even more intense, a climb up a sheer rock face slick with the remnants of a storm. The Thlixians watched as participants scaled the rock, muscles straining, sweat mixing with rain. One slip could mean serious injury, but every climber was secured with ropes, and teams on the ground were ready to assist if needed. Lim couldn't contain her curiosity any longer. "I want to try," she said, stepping forward. The humans cheered, encouraging her to join in. She approached the rock face with a mix of fear and excitement, her Thlixian physiology making the task a unique challenge. As she climbed, she felt the strain in her limbs, the burn in her muscles, sensations unfamiliar to a Thlixian. But she also felt something else: exhilaration. The humans below cheered her on, and she found herself smiling despite the difficulty. She understood now, if only a little, why humans did this. It wasn't just about the physical act. It was about the shared experience, the camaraderie, the joy of overcoming. Halfway up, she slipped, and for a heart-stopping moment, she dangled by one arm. But a human climber nearby reached out to steady her, his grip firm and reassuring. "You've got this," he said with a grin. With renewed determination, Lim continued, making it to the top alongside him. The crowd below erupted in applause. As the day wore on, the Thlixians witnessed more events, each one a blend of challenge and cooperation. By the end of the day, they felt a profound shift in their understanding. Back at the ranger station, as the participants celebrated, Xyler addressed his team. "Humans don't just survive on this world. They thrive because they embrace its challenges together. What we saw today wasn't a demonstration of power or fearlessness. It was a celebration of their resilience, their community, and their unyielding spirit." Sarah, overhearing, raised her glass in a toast. To thriving, not just surviving. To pushing beyond our limits, together. The Thlixians joined in the toast, a sense of newfound respect and admiration blooming in their hearts. They came to understand that Earth's greatest challenge wasn't its environment, but its people who had chosen to face each day with courage, unity, and an unbreakable spirit. The sky was clear the next day, a bright sun casting long shadows over the now quiet forest. The aftermath of the storm and the excitement of the great challenge had left the Thlixians with much to contemplate. Captain Xyler, Science Officer Lim, and Engineer Vectin stood outside the ranger station, watching as the humans went about their morning routines. Despite the previous day's exhaustion, they were cheerful and energetic, preparing for whatever challenges lay ahead. Captain Xyler turned to Sarah, who was organizing supplies with the other rangers. "We've learned much about your people in the short time we've been here. You face constant danger, yet you seem to embrace it. You see each challenge not as a threat, but as an opportunity. Why?" Sarah paused, wiping sweat from her brow. "You're right. Life here isn't easy. But it's not just about surviving the dangers. It's about what those dangers bring out in us. Every storm, every challenge, makes us stronger, more resilient. It brings us together. That's why we stay. Earth isn't just a place we live, it's part of who we are." Lim nodded thoughtfully. "It's like your entire culture is built around adaptation and resilience. You grow stronger by facing adversity head-on, not avoiding it." "Exactly," Sarah replied with a smile. "We don't just face adversity, we learn from it, adapt to it, and overcome it. And in doing so, we become better, individually and as a community." Suddenly, a voice crackled over the rangers' radios, urgent and tense. "Mudslide in the Northern Valley. Several homes at risk. People trapped." Without hesitation, Sarah and the other rangers grabbed their gear. "You coming?" she asked the Thlixians, her expression serious but determined. Xyler looked at his crew, then nodded. "We came to understand why you live here. This is part of it, isn't it?" Sarah grinned. "Damn right it is. Let's go." The Thlixians hurried after the humans, racing to the northern valley. As they arrived, they saw the destruction. Mud and debris had swept down from the hills, threatening to engulf several houses. People were scrambling to help, using ropes and makeshift barriers to divert the flow and rescue those trapped. Vecton, usually cautious and methodical, found himself moving instinctively, his engineering expertise coming into play. "If we reinforce that ridge with those fallen trees, we can redirect the mud away from the houses," he shouted. The humans followed his lead without question, working together with practiced efficiency. Lim and Xyler assisted in pulling people to safety, feeling a strange but exhilarating sense of purpose. Here they were, aliens on a foreign world, yet fully integrated into this community effort. Hours passed like minutes. With everyone's efforts combined, they managed to stabilize the area. The immediate danger was averted, and cheers erupted as the last trapped person was pulled to safety. The Thlixians stood among the humans, covered in mud and exhaustion, but there was a shared sense of triumph in their hearts. Later, as the sun set over the valley, Xyler and his crew sat with Sarah and the other rangers around a campfire. The heat was comforting against the cool evening air, and the sky above was a stunning canvas of stars. "We have our answer," Xyler said quietly, looking at his team. "Humans don't just survive here because they're stubborn or lack options. They stay because they've built a life that's deeply intertwined with this planet's challenges. It's about connection, growth, and community." Sarah nodded. "You've got it. Earth is a death world, sure. But it's our death world. And it's the hardships that make the good times sweeter, the bonds stronger. We're not just surviving. We're living, in every sense of the word." Lim smiled, feeling a deep sense of understanding and respect. "I think we could all learn something from your people." As the fire crackled and the stars twinkled above, the Thlixians realized they had found more than just answers on Earth. They had found a new appreciation for the indomitable spirit of humanity. The so-called Death World was not a place to fear, but a world that had shaped a species to be strong, adaptable, and united. As they prepared to leave the next day, Captain Xyler turned to Sarah. "Thank you for showing us your world. I believe the Galactic Council will benefit greatly from understanding the true nature of humanity and your unique bond with Earth." Sarah grinned, shaking his hand. "You're welcome back anytime, Captain. Just be ready for whatever Earth throws at you next." Xyler chuckled, nodding. "I wouldn't have it any other way." As the Thlixian ship ascended into the sky, they watched the vibrant world below grow smaller, their hearts filled with a newfound admiration for Earth and its resilient inhabitants. They had come to study humans on a death world, but they were leaving with a lesson on life itself.